The official sneak peek for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 10 has finally come out. And with just one page, the entire fandom of Boruto has woken up on Twitter, and we are seeing a bunch of different discussions of what we see from this page. In this page, we see Sarada dodge Hidari, who was using a Chidori from her blind side, and everybody is already going crazy. So this is what we're going to be discussing in today's video. The next chapter already seems like it's going to be peak, and Ikimoto and Kijimoto are just cooking. I'm just impressed with everything that we are seeing. We're seeing a mix of build-up, intense fights, and finally, we are seeing Hidari versus Sarada. This is a fight that I've been wanting to see for a minute, and it looks like it's going to live up to expectations, as Sarada has dodged Hidari, a top-tier fighter who alongside Jira was able to deal with the likes of Kawaki and Delta. So this is no ordinary feat, and we have to discuss it. So first of all, from what we can already tell, it seems like Sarada and Sumire may have met with Jira and Hidari. Maybe Hidari isolated Sarada because Sarada is her target, and Jira continued to do what he wanted to do with Himawari, continued to pursue her, so it seems like they have split up. I don't know exactly what you guys think when it comes to what are the rest of the Shinshu doing, since it appears like at least 2 of the Shinshu are meeting with their targets, Jira with Himawari and Hidari with Sarada. Maybe Moegi and the others are somewhere into the village, but I doubt that's the case, because Ino would have noticed. So the real question is, what exactly are they doing? But let's dive on deep to exactly what we get to see, as if we pay further attention, you would see that the panel that we're getting right now is actually not the beginning of the fight, but it seems like it is somewhere in between, as not only do we see dust build up all around in the panel, we see that Sarada has her shangan activated. This means that the fight has just begun, as her shangan is also activated, and also we see claw marks all over, which means that Hidari, who now has the abilities that Code has when it comes to his claw marks, has used that ability already, which means that we are midway into the fight. And what is very interesting is that the dodge that we see from Sarada is actually coming from her blind side, just in a similar way that Code used his claw marks to sneak up on people like Boruto during the Code arc and reach their blind side without them even knowing. Hidari has implemented this same tactic, yet Sarada still found a way to be able to dodge it. And we're simply just going to have to give Sarada her credit, because it puts her to a top tier level for her to be able to react to not only Hidari coming to her blind side and trying to attack her, but Hidari was amped with the Chidori, which increases speed at that. This is no ordinary feat, and it just puts Sarada at a higher level. I'm sorry, I said in the past, I'll come back to it. I said in the past that Mitsuki had shown a little bit more than Sarada, so for the moment I had put Mitsuki above Sarada, but what I've currently seen from Sarada right here, yo, Kawaki might have to watch out, because Sarada might be on Kawaki's level, but we're not ready for it, because the first time I had seen Sarada stand up to Kawaki, I was like, yo, I know what you're saying is true. You have a good point. You're pointing out the flaws in Kawaki's logic. However, you do not have the strength to be able to enact these plans that you have. But with what I'm currently seeing, I wouldn't mess with Sarada if I was anybody. If I was Kawaki, I would not mess with Sarada. As with the feats that he's been showing, taking L after L after L, Sarada might be the final L to make people not want to fuck with Kawaki anymore. But we move. But this feat is very impressive. Let's go back to that. The reason why I say this feat is very impressive is because you'll clearly have the people who will downplay Sarada and say that, oh, it's simply because of her Sharingan, but you have to remember exactly how it works. You have to be able to keep up with that speed. Even though you can see it's coming, you have to be able to keep up with it. What we saw a perfect example of this with Rock Lee. We had Sasuke, who could see everything that Rock Lee was doing. It was plain, it was simple, but Sasuke was not fast enough to react. That's why he was thinking, no, there's no way that I can completely see what Rock Lee is going to do, but yet I can't do anything else. Maybe he has something up his sleeve, but that wasn't the case, as Rock Lee couldn't really use ninjutsu. So Sasuke Even though he was able to see what Rock Lee was going to do, he couldn't dodge it because he didn't have the speed required. Sarada dodging not only Hidari, I'm gonna say it again, not only Hidari making a move from her blind side, but dodging it with the Chidori is simply something else, and this feat alone stamps her as one of the strongest. And don't be surprised to see the memes of Sarada being stronger than Kawaki. You guys better watch out. But there is something even more interesting that I'm starting to notice, and it is the fact that we're not seeing Sarada use the Mangekyo Sharingan. And I had this theory in the beginning. I had the theory that potentially we could see Sarada not actually be able to use the Mangekyo Sharingan, but I just didn't want to believe it. When Sarada first awakened it, there was no sign available that truly showed us that she could actually control her abilities. There was nothing that showed us that she was even aware that she had awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan. And this was something I disagreed with at the time, because I wanted to see Sarada use the Mangekyo Sharingan in the chapters to come, and especially in the time skip. But seeing her fight against the Clawgrams, seeing her now fight against Hidari and only using her third Tomoe, it really tells me that Sarada really doesn't know that she has awakened her Mangekyo Sharingan, which will mean that if you dislike the way that Sarada's Mangekyo Sharingan was awakened in chapter 80, which was written to perfection, so I really don't understand why, but we could potentially see Sarada reawaken her Mangekyo Sharingan in another epic fashion. And this would be amazing to see, because Ikimoto hinted at Sarada and Sasuke having a very interesting dynamic that he didn't want to talk about. Ikimoto in interview said that Sarada and Sasuke would have a very interesting dynamic related to the Sharingan. So I really do believe that maybe during the process of Sarada fighting Hidari and whatever happens in that moment, we could see Sarada awaken her Mangekyo Sharingan and see a Susanoo versus Susanoo battle that we haven't seen in a minute. We had that with Itachi versus Sasuke, and maybe a bit of Sasuke versus Madara, but I don't think that Madara was using the Susanoo. But regardless of that, we could really be seeing another epic fight that is currently being built up, because a lot of what we're seeing right now at the moment are small scrimmages. I don't know how exactly this fight will pan out, but I don't think the entire fight will be done here. For the moment, we are still in the beginning stages of this war that the Shinshu are going to wage in their path towards discovering and going down the path of being curious and interested in the world around them. After they pass that stage of being curious, which is what is felt by babies. When you are first born into the world, you are curious about everything that is around you, which is why you will see babies take random things and put it in their mouth. Pause, no homo. It was the worst example I could have used. My fault. But nevertheless, you can already see the connection between Jira and the baby stage of being a human. After they get past that stage and start to form better ideals and goals, we will truly see a new side of the Shinshu, and it is then that I believe that we will truly get the fight that we want from Sarada and Hidari. But what Sarada is showcasing right now is feats for us to really be able to believe that she can actually beat Hidari, and it not come off as either simply just a power boost that she had from the Mangekyo Sharingan, but come from a place of power, intellect, and being able to come up with a good strategy just like a ninja would do. And I would be very happy to see that. But if you guys start to pay close attention, Himawari and Sarada, we're seeing two perfect female characters being built. And there are two different types of female characters. And I think that maybe Kishimoto heard some of the complaints that people have saying that, oh, he is incapable of writing good female protagonists or good female characters. But what we're seeing right now is two characters that are not there for fan service or to appease the masses or just to be somebody mad like Sakura. No, we're seeing characters who have their own plot points, their own goals and aspirations that they want to achieve. The one could be linked to Boruto, but also is linked to their interpersonal relationship with the characters around them. Himawari with Naruto, Sarada with Sasuke, they all have their own goals that don't necessarily reside with Boruto. This allows the story to branch out and have characters like Sarada and Himawari develop their own fans in a sense that don't necessarily stem from Boruto. As one of the critiques of Boruto Part 1 is how it heavily relied on the dynamic between Boruto Boruto and Kawaki. Although it was written very well, it really felt like the other characters were just there to be characters. They were just decoration. However, what we're seeing right now is Ikimoto building up characters here and there. Mitsuki with the plot point of not necessarily needing Boruto and discovering that he doesn't need a son, but if he does, Boruto is there. We have characters like Sarada who have their own relationship and plot point related to Hidari, and we also have characters like Himawari who have their own plot points. This arc that we are about to embark on is going to be an arc that will have to deal with some of these plot points, if not all, and with the fact that we have Moegi and Bug, the Shinshu clone, these are other plot points that will have to be introduced and tackled in the future. We have Konohamaru, who will have to fight Moegi at a certain point, and Bug, who will have to fight Damon at another point in this arc. This arc is shaping up to be a crazy arc, full of buildup, full of constant emotions that we are being felt, as it is pretty sad to see Sarada having to fight somebody like Sasuke, but it is absolutely necessary. And I hope at the end we finally get an Itachi and Sasuke like moment where Sasuke comes and before he dies and regains consciousness in Hidari, he hits her off with a genjutsu explaining everything about his clan and his life. Because when I first saw that Sasuke got turned into a tree, I felt some type of way in the regard of, damn, Sarada's never going to truly know what happened to her clan. Yes, in the first chapter, we got the fact that we know that Sarada knows that Sasuke deserted their village. This was probably done in the time skip when she decided to do research on what exactly Sasuke used to do due to the treatment they probably received, as her father was not only going rogue once as we had saw in the past, but this was his second time as he had done it before. So Sarada and Sakura must have been going through all these various emotions, and I truly believe that the person who was there to potentially help Sarada, and the only person who really has that expertise when it comes to the Sharingan, it would be Kakashi. And Ikimoto did hint at Kakashi playing some sort of a role in the time skip. So I do believe that we could potentially see that Sarada, what exactly did she train to allow her to contend with Shinshu like people? It could be stemming from Kakashi. I know a lot of people may say, oh, Sasuke had the 3 Tomoe Sharingan in the past, but he was only able to beat Naruto, who was only using a portion of the 9 Tails chakra. How is Sarada able to fight somebody like Hidari, who seems to be able to go toe-to-toe with Boruto? These are the complaints that some people have. However, it is not founded on logic and any source of power scaling comprehension. Because first of all, a common theme that has been shown in the series is how each generation gets stronger from the other. But Sarada already, without the Sharingan, was much stronger than Sasuke, even noted by Sasuke himself, saying that Sarada is stronger. So I do believe that Sarada in base generally is stronger than the likes of Sasuke, and we have seen her complete multiple feats that on top of the 3 Tomoe Sharingan that she seems to have mastered. It makes perfect sense why she is able to stand up against the likes of Hidari, on top of the fact that she knew that Boruto was wrongfully committed, so she had the resolve necessary. And just like we have seen with Naruto time after time, resolve is directly linked to the power you have access to, and with a strong resolve you have access to stronger power, and thus we see a Sarada who is super strong. But this is why you have to watch this video right here, as Sasuke and Sarada's dynamic is closely related to Boruto.